You clock in at 5:58, not because you have to be there at 6, because you have been here at 5:58 every working day for 11 years, and the body doesn't ask permission anymore. It just goes. You park in the same spot, third row from the fence, second from the left. The spot isn't assigned. Nobody takes it because nobody needs to be here at 5:58 except you. You sign the sheet. You get the forklift. You start the shift. The cooler sits in the break room at 11:30 the same way it has sat in the break room at 11:30 for 11 years. Blue, soft-sided. A crack along the bottom left handle from the time you dropped it getting out of the truck in 2019. You never replaced it because it still closes and it still keeps things cold, and those are the only things a cooler needs to do. Today, it has a sandwich, an apple, 2 hard-boiled eggs, and a water bottle you refilled from home this morning. Your coworker Danny sits across from you. Danny makes $3,200 more than you per year because Danny has been here 2 more years, and the scale moves like that. Danny is telling you about a truck he's been looking at. Used, 2018. Good price, he thinks. He wants your opinion. You tell him it sounds solid. You ask what the mileage is. Danny says 94,000. You say that's not bad for the year. Danny says he's been saving up. You say that's smart. You eat your sandwich. Danny talks about the truck. The break room hums with the refrigerator. Somewhere on the floor, someone drops something metal. The shift is half over. Danny has no idea you own the building he works in. You bought it in 2018, not because you were looking for a building, because the owner was selling and the price was right and the math made sense, and you had been doing this long enough to know that when the math makes sense and you have the capital, you move and you don't explain yourself. The purchase took 6 weeks. The paperwork was done by a lawyer you've used for 9 years who charges $280 an hour and is worth every dollar. You signed the documents on a Thursday evening after your shift. You had a small ink stain on your right thumb from a leak in a marking pen at the warehouse. You noticed it when you signed. The building generates $38,000 a month in lease revenue. The company that employs you and Danny pays that lease, has paid it every month for 5 years without missing a payment. You cash the check, direct deposit now. It used to be a check. And you move it to an account that does not appear on anything in your name at this address. You clock in Monday, and the lease has been paid, and nobody knows, and that is exactly how it should be. The truck has been in the parking lot for 11 years. A 2009, dark blue, 211,000 miles as of last Thursday when you filled up. You still check the price before you fill up, not because the price changes what you do. You fill the tank either way, but because you grew up in a house where gas prices were a topic of conversation and the habit got into you before you had a reason to let it go. Danny asked you once why you still drive that thing. You told him it runs. He laughed and said, "You need to treat yourself sometime." You said maybe. You have thought about this conversation a few times since, what treating yourself would look like to Danny. What Danny imagines the ceiling of treating yourself to be, the number in Danny's head for what a person like you should eventually own. You do not know what that number is. You know it is considerably smaller than the actual number. The actual number is not something you think about in terms of total. You think about it in terms of what it produces each month and whether that monthly production is growing or holding and what the next position should be. The total is a consequence of the system. You are interested in the system. The system currently produces $23,400 a month from 3 properties and 2 notes and a small equity position in a logistics company that pays a quarterly dividend. You reinvest most of it. You take enough to cover the truck and the cooler and the apartment and the things you need, and a small amount over that for the things you want. The things you want are not many. This is not a virtue. It is just how you are built. Your mother calls on Sundays. She asks if you're eating enough. You tell her yes. She asks if you're still at the same job. You tell her yes. She pauses the way she pauses when she is deciding whether to say the thing she is thinking. She says, "You've been there a long time now. You say, I know. She says, don't you ever think about doing something else? You say, I'm doing other things. She says, you know what I mean. You say, I know. She means the job. She means the title and the ladder and the visible markers of progress that other people can see from the outside and use to understand where you are. She means the promotion and the business card and the office with the window. You have thought about this. You have decided it is a particular way of measuring a life, not wrong, just particular, and that it does not match the way you are measuring yours. You do not say this. You say you'll come for dinner Sunday week and ask what she wants you to bring. She says just yourself. You say, okay, the thing about staying is that everyone reads it as a failure of imagination. You didn't get promoted, so you must not be good enough. You didn't leave, so you must not have been offered anything. You're still driving that truck, so you must not have figured it out yet. The figure it out narrative requires motion, visible, upward, horizontal motion between places that look different from the outside. A new company name on a card, a higher number in a title, evidence that can be photographed and shared and understood by people who are not you. You are not interested in that narrative. You are interested in what the building produces each month. The building does not care what your title is. The notes do not care how many jobs you've had. The equity position has never asked what car you drive. There is a younger guy on the floor now, Trevon, 24, smart, asks good questions. He told you last week that he's thinking about leaving. Better opportunity somewhere else, he thinks. More room to grow. You asked what he meant by room to grow. He said more responsibility. Better title. Faster track. You asked what track he was on. He said he didn't know yet. You said that was worth knowing before you started moving fast on it. He looked at you the way people look at you when they can't tell if you're wise or just stuck. You said, what do you do with the money you make here? He said, what do you mean? You said, after the bills. What happens to it? He said, I spend it. I save some. I don't know. Why? You said, no reason. Just worth thinking about. You went back to the forklift. Trevon probably thinks you're stuck. You are not stuck. You are positioned. The lawyer calls on a Tuesday afternoon during your break. He has found another one, industrial property. Decent price. The owner is motivated. The numbers work if you move in the next 10 days. You ask him to send the summary. You eat the second hard-boiled egg while you read it on your phone. The summary looks right. The price is fair. The location has one issue you will need to think about. You tell the lawyer you'll call him tonight after the shift. You pocket the phone. You get back on the forklift. You have 40 minutes left of break, and you spend it the same way you've spent every break for 11 years. On the floor, moving things from where they are to where they need to be. The building outside is yours. The break room is not. The distinction matters to you in a way you have never fully explained to anyone and probably never will. Danny finds you at the end of the shift. He bought the truck. He's excited. You can see it. The specific excitement of a person who has wanted something for a long time and finally has it. The 2018, 94,000 miles. He got a few hundred off the asking price. He wants to show you a photo. You look at the photo. The truck is clean, good color. You tell him it looks great. He says he's going to pay it off in 3 years. You tell him that's a solid plan. He says he feels like he's finally getting somewhere. You tell him that's a good feeling to have. Danny drives home in his new truck. You drive home in the 2009 with 211,000 miles. The lawyer calls at 7:14. You tell him to move on the property. You clock in at 5:58 the next morning. The same spot, third row from the fence, second from the left. Nobody has taken it. You sign the sheet. You get the forklift. You start the shift. Outside the fence, a building you own. Inside the fence, a job you chose. The distance between those two things is not visible from where Danny is standing. That is not an accident. If this story stayed with you, there are more where it came from. New stories every week. Same channel, same quiet. Subscribe, not because you have to, because the next one might be yours.